Hello and welcome to ONTV's first ever virtual workshop right here at the ONTV studio on Joslin Road at the Orion Center. I'm Joe Johnson, studio manager over here at ONTV. Now, as a lot of you know, over the past year, because of everything that's going on in the world, our classes have been, for the most part, put on hold. We haven't been able to allow groups of people to come in and take our normal studio classes and our training. When we got the green light that we could let people in on a limited capacity, we decided we were going to start offering one-on-one classes, but we were limited to having classes in our podcast room and some editing one-on-one workshops that we did. Like I said, group classes are still a little ways off. Hopefully with vaccinations getting more popular and we're getting closer and closer to maybe returning to some sort of normalcy, we'll get back to having group classes here in the studio. But in addition to doing our one-on-one workshops, our executive director, Ian Locke, had come up with the idea of trying to offer some virtual classes and see how that goes. Now, my coworker, Joey Tysick, he recorded a class a while back on a really awesome software called OBS, and hopefully you can find that and learn a little bit about OBS. This is the first time we've actually gone live, and we are also going to record this and have it available down the road for you to look at as a refresher. So today's topic is an amazing editing software that you can download for free, if you can believe it, called DaVinci Resolve. I found out about this software during the pandemic, and I was skeptical when I first heard about it. I thought, how good can free software be? I remember a few years ago, a group of students turned in a short film for our Wildwood Film Festival, and they had used free editing software to put it together. But to their surprise, when they went to export the finished film, it placed a watermark right across the screen, and that's how the movie originally played during our film festival, which was heartbreaking for the producers. So I was fully expecting, when I threw something together in DaVinci Resolve, that there had to be some sort of a catch. Maybe there was going to be a watermark placed across the screen or whatever. And to my shock, there is no watermark. And I was able to do everything I needed to do to put together a simple news package using this amazing free download. And you will be converted, I think, when you see what this is capable of. So what I'm going to do today is go over some of the basics of DaVinci Resolve, just some basic editing. Now keep in mind, you are able to do some basic editing on DaVinci Resolve up to a certain point, but then there is a professional version that has additional features and bells and whistles that you would have to pay to access. So there is a version of DaVinci Resolve that would cost you money down the road. But what we're looking at today is a free download. Now, this laptop that I'm on is a new laptop, and it didn't have everything I needed installed on it, so I had to install some of this stuff today, and it was a really quick install. It happened just within minutes. I was able to sit here and install it on this laptop within minutes, so you can do the same thing. What you would do is go to Google and Google DaVinci Resolve. The most recent version, as you see on the screen here above me, is DaVinci Resolve 17. Or you can go to blackmagicdesign.com. They're the ones who created this amazing editing software. And from what I'm told, they started off by creating color correction software, and somehow that evolved into editing software that everyone can now access. And I think one of the biggest benefits of this software is to students and people on a budget who are looking for high-end editing software but don't have the money to spend on something like Adobe Premiere Pro, which we have here at ONTV, and you're invited to come in and learn how to use it and access Adobe Premiere Pro here in our offices at our studio. But if you're looking for a no-cost, high-end editing software, then I really recommend DaVinci Resolve. It's really, really impressive. So you see on the screen right here over my shoulder, it says download now. You would click on that and download that to your PC or laptop or whatever it is you need. And you can see some of the features are on the screen there that we will look at a little bit later. And you see them bragging, Hollywood's #1 post solution. So this is really catching on. And from what I've heard, a lot of stuff that you might see on YouTube and stuff like that may have been edited with DaVinci Resolve. It is very, very impressive. So you can download that to your laptop or PC. And when it's all said and done, you're going to have a icon on your desktop. You can kind of see it here. Maybe I can move it over my head here. There's DaVinci Resolve above my head. You're going to have an icon on your desktop. Let's double click on it. And that's going to launch DaVinci Resolve 17. Now, before we get into the features of this, I say this in all my editing classes, that before you even open your editing software and start editing, you really have to start off by being organized. Create a folder on your laptop or your PC where you can house all your video that you've shot, music that you may have downloaded, any JPEG images, titles and graphics, things like that. Create a folder with your name on it, your project name on it, and create folders within folders to keep everything organized and nice and neat. You don't want to be into your edit project only to realize later that your computer's a mess and files are everywhere and you don't know where anything is. Get organized when you start by creating folders and identify those folders, and possibly even identify the video clips that you're going to be importing into your project. Organization is so important and will shave minutes, if not hours, off your editing time when you're putting your project together. So you can see DaVinci Resolve is now launching on my desktop. It's basically asking me if I want to open a previous project or start a new project. We're going to start from scratch and click on New Project. Here it'll ask you what you want to title your project. The footage that I'm going to be importing is some footage I shot at Dream Cruise a few years ago. So let's call our project Dream Cruise. And we're going to click Create. Now we're not necessarily deciding a path or anything now. We can decide where to save it at the end of all this. Now, as you can see, DaVinci Resolve is very similar to Adobe Premiere Pro. It's kind of laid out the same. You have some clips that you can import on the top left corner of the screen. You got your program and preview windows are going to be available up here on the top of the screen. And of course, you have your timeline, your sequence on the bottom of the screen where your project is going to get assembled and put together. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to import some footage. So on the very top left corner, we got File, Import, and we're going to import media. Now I have a folder on our network here that has some Dream Cruise footage in it. It's in my staff drive. I have a folder called Training. DaVinci, is it? No, it's in my editing class. There it is. There's my Dream Cruise folder. We're going to open it up. Now I have some other things in there too. So I'm going to start with the top clip, click on it, drag down to the bottom clip, which is number 54. I'm going to hold down Shift, click on it. We're going to grab those 54, 55 clips and import that. And now you notice there's a pop-up window that comes up, and this is really interesting. Basically what it's asking you is that, do you want the settings of this project to match the footage that you shot? And usually the answer would be yes to that. So it's saying that the video that I'm trying to import has a different frame rate than this project has. So we want the frame rate to match the video clip. So I'm going to click Change. Now there's some different ways to view the video clips in Resolve. Here you see a bunch of thumbnails. You can also look at them as a list. That's normally how I might do it in Adobe Premiere Pro. So there are different ways to view the clips that are in the bin in the main folder there. So it's up to you to decide how you want to look at those clips. To find a clip that you want to put into your sequence, you can see thumbnails, which are really nice, give you an idea of what those clips are. So let's start off. This is one of my favorite shots that I always seem to do at Dream Cruise. And let's see, we're going to get over. Okay, now right now, and I was messing around with this earlier and I discovered this. Way down on the bottom of the screen, you see where the cursor is? Right now we're in what's called cut mode. I'm not a big fan of cut mode. I prefer edit mode. So I'm going to click on edit mode. And now it looks a little bit more like Adobe Premiere Pro, something I'm a little bit more used to. And you'll find on the sequence that you're going to have a video track and an audio track, just like you would see in most editing software. So I'm going to kind of shuttle forward on the clip. There's a moment where I zoom out from this Woodward sign, and you'll see some cars passing by the camera. So I'm going to kind of shuttle back to the start of that shot, and just like in Adobe Premiere, I'm going to hit I for in, and then I could use space bar to play it. Now I noticed that on this laptop the video kind of stutters and kind of doesn't play smoothly. I don't know if that's because of the processing power of the laptop or what causes that, but we'll just kind of go with it. I'm going to hit O for out. So I for in, O for out. I can take this first shot, drag it down here to my sequence. We're going to start at 0 at the very far left. Actually, the counter here says 1, but we're going to start on the far left of the sequence. Now you'll see, just like in other editing software, we have a video track at the beginning, or on the top, we have an audio track on the bottom. And so, again, this should look very familiar to you as you see everything getting put together. Now we're going to lay down 3 clips back to back to back, just to kind of illustrate how similar this is to the software that you're familiar with. So let's find another shot. Let's look at this clip. Okay, so there's a shot of this cool black convertible. I'm going to start just before it starts moving. Hit I for in, space bar to play, and we'll let it drive out of frame. Space bar to pause, O for out. Click, hold, drag, drop it in the second shot of the sequence. And let's find a third clip. Here we have cars coming from a different angle. You want to avoid back-to-back shots that are too similar. So we're going to pick a shot where cars are coming in from the other direction. I for in, space bar to play. We'll let that convertible drive out of frame. O for out. Click, hold, drag, drop. We now have 3 clips in our sequence, our timeline. If I take our playhead back to the beginning of it, space bar to play. Clip 1, where we zoom out from the Woodward sign. Clip 2, the black convertible. And clip 3, the red convertible. All right, so we got 3 clips laid down. Now let's put down a little sound bite. When I was at this particular Dream Cruise, I want to say it might have been 2018, something like that, I interviewed then Mayor Dave Coulter, who is now our Oakland County executive. Ferndale was the birthplace of Dream Cruise, and they have a ribbon cutting ceremony on Friday night when Dream Cruise kicks off. And so I interviewed the mayor at the time, asked him about the origin of Dream Cruise. Let's take a listen to his soundbite.
The Dream Cruise started right here in Ferndale.
So I'm going to start with him saying the Dream Cruise started.
Refresh people's memory.
The Dream.
All right, so just before he forms that sentence, Going to hit I for in. Now we're going to play it through.
The Dream Cruise started right here in Ferndale. It started as a fundraiser for a soccer field 23 years ago. It was a lousy fundraiser, and it's never made very much money, but it turned into an amazing event that's known the world over.
All right, perfect little sound bite. O for out. Click, hold, drag, drop. And so now we got our 3 clips, which leads into his soundbite.
The Dream Cruise started right here in Ferndale.
All right. Now, because we have additional video tracks that we can add, video track 2, or audio track 2, let's put a little clip over the top of him talking. We'll have Dave come up first.
The Dream Cruise started right here in Ferndale. It started as a fundraiser for a soccer field 23 years ago.
All right, so when he says 23 years ago or whatever it was, now we can go to some footage of cars driving by. So let's find a shot I can throw over the top of that. Oh, they do have an emergency vehicle parade. Let's throw in a shot from the emergency vehicle parade. Let's see. Lots of sirens and stuff here. I'm going to mark in, space bar to play. So let's mark out, O for out. Now I'm going to take that video, and I don't necessarily need to bring the audio down with it. We'll just use the video. So I'm going to click on this video icon where we just grab the video track, not the audio track. And you see how it now creates a track 2 to place over the mayor talking. So now if I hit play.
Right here in Ferndale, it started as a fundraiser for a soccer field 23 years ago. It was a lousy fundraiser, and it's never made very much money, but it turned into an amazing event that's known the world over.
All right. So you see how easy it is to put video over the person talking, so you continue to hear them talking and see video of what he's talking about. So you can see the project is starting to come together in our sequence. We got 3 clips, a soundbite from the mayor at the time, and a video clip over him talking. Now, if you want to liven it up a little bit, there are transitions that you can throw in. Over here on the left, we have a toolbox that has audio transitions, video transitions, and titles, which we're going to get into in a little bit. So if we click on video transitions, the most popular or common transition would be a dissolve. So we're going to take our cross dissolve, click, hold, drag. We'll throw it at the very beginning of the clip, which will cause the video to fade up. And then where each clip meets, we're going to throw a cross dissolve on the seam where each video clip comes together. We'll throw one over here too. So now when you play it, the very first one will fade up from black. When it gets to the second one, it'll dissolve from one clip to the next. It'll dissolve again, and then it'll dissolve
The Dream Cruise
to the mayor. So just like Adobe Premiere Pro, it's very, very easy to throw transitions in between clips. And there's a few there to choose from. If you click and drag down, there's iris wipes, motion where the video will get pushed in or pushed out. Different shapes. This has more transitions than Adobe Premiere Pro does, which is pretty impressive. And so it's just a matter of picking one that you want to use, clicking, holding, and dragging down to your sequence where clips come together. Transitions make your video a lot more dynamic. When you just do cut, 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 that's fine for news. As you probably know, I'm always putting together news packages of community events. And cuts are fine for news, but if you want to do something a little bit more fun, transitions add a little bit of energy to the project that you're putting together. So experiment with the different transitions, throw them in there, have fun, and add some energy to the project. Now, I mentioned that under your toolbox, you have titles. Now, normally when I put my newscast together, I've created lower thirds, which identify the people I'm interviewing. I've created those in Photoshop, and I import those into my edit project. Now, if you're using DaVinci Resolve, you probably aren't using Photoshop because that's part of the Creative Cloud package that you have to pay for and download from Adobe. So if you don't have access to Photoshop to create titles and stuff, actually DaVinci Resolve allows you to create titles within its software. So I'm going to click on Titles. And there's a lot of options here. If we scroll all the way up, some of your basic options are, and you can see it in the program window there when I hover the mouse over it, it gives you some templates that you can stick to. So you have what's called left lower third, so it's on the bottom of the screen, starts on the left. There's a middle lower third, which is pretty much more common. There's a right lower third, and then there's scroll for and credits and stuff like that. So let's create a lower third for the mayor. So I'm going to click, hold, drag, and drop on track 2 because we want that text to appear over the top of the mayor. And I double clicked on it, which now gives us some tools where we can start typing. So now you notice on the right side, top right side, you see a box that says title, and you see that word on the screen over the mayor. So basically what that's telling me is I can change the word title to whatever you want to type. In this case, it's going to be his name. So we're going to type David Coulter as his name. And then underneath that, there's different choices. You could change color, size, stuff like that. So it's a little on the small side. So if I click, hold, and drag, we could make his name a little bit bigger. Boy, that jumps by really large increments. So we're going to have to be careful with the mouse. Now, that's one thing I did want to kind of mention is I'm not a big fan of using the touchpad on a laptop when editing. I don't know. Maybe it's because I've learned nonlinear editing on a PC and a Mac, and I've always been used to using a mouse. So I've actually attached a mouse to this laptop, and to me, that's more comfortable for me to edit. All right, so we don't want his name to be too huge, but it's really jumping quickly when I get to a certain point. I wonder, let's hold and drag. So I'm going to hover the mouse over where it says 300. Now if I drag over that, the increments are a little bit smaller than they were. Now if we scroll down, the second word sample is the second line. So I'm going to drag over that, and I can type Ferndale Mayor. And so the name is usually the top line, title is the second line. And again, you can change color if you want to. I believe you can even add drop shadows, and so you can add drop shadows, stroke, which is an outline. A lot of options to create a lower third for your video project. And if I were to just play it now, his name would just sort of pop up.
The Dream Cruise started right here in Ferndale. It started as a fundraiser for a soccer field and 23 years ago.
Footage cuts in. Now those transitions that we talked about earlier that allow you to transition between video clips, you can use those same transitions to bring in text. So if I want to use cross dissolve to bring in the text, I just click, hold, drag, and drop on the text layer, video track 2. And so now the text will just fade in on the screen. So transitions apply to text as well. And you can have fun with that. You could have text fly in, fly out. zoom in, zoom out, have fun with it. One thing I really want to encourage you when this is all said and done is if you do decide to download DaVinci Resolve and play with it at home, experiment, have fun with it, see what it's capable of. There's no way I can cover everything that it does here today. I'm just going to kind of go over the basics. It's really up to you to experiment and play with it. I'm learning new things about this software every day. As a matter of fact, earlier today when I downloaded it on this laptop, I was messing around with it and discovered some new things earlier today. So you'll find that you discover new things about DaVinci Resolve constantly. Now, like I said, you can use transitions and different things to have fun with your video clip, make it not so newsy. Something else that you might be able to do to make your video a little bit more fun is to incorporate music. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into File, Import, Media, and on the network, and you all have access to this too when you're here in the building, on our public media drive, we have a folder that says Editing Resources, and in that folder, there's a folder that says Production Music. We have a license with a company that used to be called Nova, now it's called APM, I think, that allows us to go in, search for music, find styles and moods that you like, and download it to your computer. If you've ever attended one of our classes here, I really discourage using copyrighted music. Places like YouTube and SoundCloud and stuff like that are really cracking down on the use of copyrighted music, so we really discourage that. So we have a library of music here, and you can also come into our office and we'll give you access to APM where you can find music, download it, and incorporate it into your project. Really a lot of variety. It's really amazing. So I'm going to double click on Nova, and within that folder I have a folder called Dream Cruise where I threw like some retro 50s music in. So let's grab this first track that says Hot Rod Rocker, perfect for Dream Cruise, and we're going to import that into our sequence. And so if I double click on it, have it show up here in the preview, you see that it's audio only. There's no images. There's just a left track and a right track. Again, I can just click, hold, drag, drop down to audio track 2, have it line up with the beginning of the project. Now, instead of just hearing car noise, we'll have an audio track underneath it. Now, we don't want that music drowning out the interview with the mayor. So as that music continues into the interview, I'm going to put a splice there. So the tools that are common with Adobe Premiere, they are located just above the timeline here in DaVinci Resolve. And one of the tools that I use pretty regularly is this razor blade tool. So you see that right in the middle of the screen. I'm going to click on that razor blade tool to select it, and where those two clips meet, where the mayor starts talking, I'm going to put a splice in the music. And then let's go back to our pointer tool, go to audio transitions. You see that we have a few audio transitions. The most common one is a crossfade. I'm going to take the crossfade, drag, and drop where these two clips meet. And now this clip on this part, you could adjust the volume of so that it's not drowning out the mayor. And I'm trying to remember now where my controls are. I think that's here in the upper right. So I'm going to take that down a little bit. Let's see how that sounds.
Started right here in Ferndale. It started as a fundraiser for a soccer field.
So I may have taken that down a little too much because it's almost completely gone.
years ago. It was a lousy
That's a little
fundraiser.
better.
It's never made very much money. But
So you can have the music continue to play under the mayor talking, but you want to lower the volume down a little bit so you're not drowning out your sound bite, and that works pretty well. All right. So as you can see, as you're watching me throw these clips in and edit, again, I reiterate that this is very, very similar to Adobe Premiere Pro, which is what we teach here at ONTV, and works really well. But to get Adobe Premiere Pro and all the stuff that comes with the cloud, the Adobe Cloud, you have to pay a monthly fee. And I don't know what it is right now. I want to say it's probably around $30 a month to get access to the Adobe Cloud. I think it's Creative Cloud, I think it's called. So if you're willing to pay that $30 a month fee, you could have access to Adobe Premiere and Photoshop and After Effects and all these other tools that come with it. But like I said, if you're on a budget and you don't want to pay that monthly fee, for free software, this is pretty darn amazing. Now, one thing I just learned recently, I had a young guy here in the studio. He wanted an overview of Adobe Premiere Pro, so we sat down and went over it. And he had some experience with DaVinci Resolve. And so I was showing him some color correction tools in Adobe Premiere. And I said, I don't think you have access to color correction tools in Resolve. And he looked at me and said, yes, I do. And I said, oh, I was not aware of that. So after he left, I went into Resolve and found that he is absolutely right. There is some really amazing color correction tools that are part of the free download of Resolve. So if I click on color down here on the bottom of the screen, you see it where the cursor is, way down on the bottom, you'll get access to some amazing color correction tools. I watched a little tutorial, I think it was on YouTube, to have somebody explain exactly what it is I'm looking at here. Now, I'm not going to get into everything, and I'm not going to lie and say I understand what everything is down here, but there are some pretty cool things down here. On Adobe Premiere Pro, they have an effect filter that you can drag into your clip called the Fast Color Corrector. And it's a really remarkable tool that you can use to do color correction on your video. This has something very similar. When you click on color, you'll see some of these color wheels behind me. I'm blocking one of them. But you'll see there's some color wheels down here on the bottom of the screen. Now, what I learned watching the tutorial is lift affects the blacks in the video. So if you want to make an area more black or less black, you would adjust the lift by dragging left or right on this slider down here on the bottom. It's kind of like a wheel that you would drag on. And I don't know if you can see the effects if I drag it, but that affects the black areas of the video. Gain affects the white areas of the video. So if you want to brighten up the whites in the video, you can do that by adjusting gain. And then gamma is kind of everything in between, the gray area. And you could adjust gamma to adjust the brightness. Now, what I learned a long time ago was that if you shoot video, say at night, and you're trying to edit it, and it's a little darker than you had hoped for, I initially tried using contrast and brightness to adjust the video, and I wasn't happy with the results. If I tried to adjust the brightness, the white areas would just get blown out. If I tried to adjust the black areas with contrast or brightness, it would turn muddy and grayish, and I just wasn't happy with the results of brightness and contrast. And what I learned is what is a more effective tool for color correction are these fast color correctors, or the gammas, the lifts, and the gains. And that allows you to lock down the white areas and the black areas and adjust the gray areas in between. And it's a more effective tool for brightening or darkening your video. It's really amazing. So to access the color correction tools, you'd want to click color on the bottom and make your adjustments there. Like I said, I'm not going to pretend to know what all this stuff is down here at the bottom, but I can tell you that those brightness tools on the bottom are really, really effective if you need to adjust video. Sometimes when I'm shooting news, I'll go to a banquet or something, and those are usually held in a dimly lit room, and I don't necessarily want to turn on a light and blind everybody, so I shoot the video in a dimly lit room and hope that I can do the color correction back at my desk using the editing software. And I find that these tools are really, really effective for adjusting video that was shot in a dimly lit room or at night with limited lighting, that sort of stuff. So a very pleasant surprise was to find out that the free version of DaVinci Resolve gives you really amazing color correction tools, and I'll have to spend more time just getting in there and playing with it and finding out what it's really capable of. But this is pretty high-end stuff for a free download. It's pretty incredible. So let's get back into edit, and I can see there that whatever adjustments I made on the color correction, I can kind of see that in the video, but that's fine. This is not something we're going to save. So let's say our video is done and you've watched it. There's no typos, there's no mistakes. The audio is at a level that you want it to be. Make sure you take care of all that stuff during the editing process. You don't want to find out later when you've uploaded it to YouTube that the audio is not good or there's a typo in somebody's name. Believe me, I've been there and I've done that, and you have to delete the video off of YouTube, go back into your edit project, make the change, re-export, re-upload. It's a big pain. So make sure everything is fine while you have the editing software open in front of you. If you're happy with it and you're ready to share it with the world, basically what you need to do is export. So we're going to go up to File. Now, there's an export option, but what I learned earlier today, as a matter of fact, is probably the easiest thing to do, at least for those of us creating a program for ONTV or to upload to YouTube. There's a quick export option that you see there in the drop-down menu that I find works really, really well. So I'm going to click Quick Export, and this option, this window pops up in the middle that has kind of some presets. H.264 is a codec that basically is accepted on YouTube and that sort of thing. And so every video that we produce here at ONTV gets exported as H.264, which is basically an MP4 video. So H.264 is a quick export option, which is fine. There's even a YouTube option if you click on it, and it'll allow you to log into YouTube, and as you export it, it uploads the video to YouTube. I haven't experimented with that yet, but that's kind of a neat option. And then there's also a Vimeo option and a Twitter option. Now, the H.264 default that comes up, you see that the resolution is 1920 times 1080. Now, that's a pretty large file. A 1080 file is pretty large. It's full HD, which is fine. But our preference here at ONTV, we export all of our programs in 720p. So how do you change that? Well, you have to go in and make some changes to the presets that are in there. And so I made a preset that's 720p, and it is located in this little folder here to the right. And if I click on that folder, you'll see that there's a 720p option. And you can actually create multiple different presets for whatever you're going to be using the video for. If you want a full HD 1080p option, you can have that. If you want a 720p option, you can do that. Sometimes when I go through archival video, which is really low res, that's like 480. And so I could have a 480 preset for archive video. But basically you can create that preset and have that at your fingertips and select that. And once you've selected the format that you want to export the video as, you click Export, and it'll ask you where's the destination where you want to save it. So basically, here's where you select the folder, the destination, give it a title, and export it to whatever folder you've chosen. And make sure you have the correct path. Make sure you know where it's going. I've had people in the past go to export something, and I'm like, where are you saving it to? And they say, I don't know. You have to know where it is it's going to be going. So give it a name, give it a destination, and then it's on its way. Now, one thing I learned earlier, now I don't know if it's because of the nature of the laptop or what, but I exported a really, really short video, and I had applied an effect to it just as an experiment. And it took probably 15 to 20 minutes to export a really short piece of video. So depending on the effects that you have applied to your project, it could take a while to export. So make sure you allow for that when your program is done, you're ready to export, you'll click export, and then you can walk away for a while, go watch TV or go do something while it exports. It could take a while. I have found that on our PCs, our desktop PCs, things move a lot quicker. So maybe it's just the nature of the laptop where it doesn't export as quickly as I'm used to. And so that will export your finished video file, and that video file is what you would upload to YouTube and turn into ONTV if you want to submit it as a program that we can air on our channel, and you will have your finished file. And then you can get to work on your next project. So I'm really excited to introduce this to you. I think it's a revelation. I'm always blown away when somebody creates something that's so incredible, and then they make it free. They make it available to people to put it together. And I'm always impressed by that. I'm always blown away by people who offer these free amazing downloads to you and I, so you can work on your projects. And I really think that this is going to benefit students and creating short films and things like that. This would just be so perfect for that. And speaking of which, I've only dabbled into this a little bit, but there are some effects that are part of this free download. I was messing around with some of them. But like there's a binoculars effect. So, do we have some questions?
There is one.
Okay, why don't you just tell me what it is? I don't know.
George was asking about rolling credits.
Oh, rolling credits. So I'll get to that in a second. There is a scrolling option for rolling credits at the that you can put at the end of your program. We'll look at that in a second. But yeah, there are some. They call them fusion effects, I guess. Some of them are a limited option, but where you have to pay to use them. But some of them are free, and I was kind of messing around with the binoculars. And you've seen in movies where a cop or somebody is looking through binoculars. You can actually apply that effect to a video in your video track, and it's pretty awesome. It's pretty impressive. And there's some other ones down there. Again, you'll have to kind of experiment with it to find out what's free and what do you have to pay for. But you can do some neat stuff with that. Now, we had a question come in about end credits. So again, that's under titles. That's considered scrolling text. So you select scroll, click, hold, drag, and drop onto your sequence. And you can see that as I drag, you see the text is scrolling. If you need to speed it up or slow it down, you can grab the end of that clip and drag it out, and that will affect the speed that the scroll takes place on the screen. And when I select that block of text there, there's a box that opens up that says scroll title, and that's where you would enter all your titles and names. So I'll type Executive Director Ian Locke, Producer Joe Johnson, that's me. And you can just go through and enter all your text. And then all the options are below where you can center your text and change the font and color and add drop shadow, whatever you want to do to it. So it's pretty easy to add scrolling text at the end of your project and adjust the speed and the look of it. So it's surprisingly interesting. And one thing I want to point out to you is early on when we first discovered this software, I wanted to see if someone like me who's been editing for 30 years, starting with videotape and moving on to nonlinear editing in the early 2000s, if someone like me who has a lot of experience editing was able to just sit down and use this software with no instruction, and I was actually surprised at how intuitive it is, that I was able to sit down and edit together a news package with no instruction. Now there's a couple of things, more advanced things that I had to go online and watch a YouTube video or something like that. But for the most part, this is really, really intuitive, easy to use, and I really, really recommend it. I think this is a real game changer. I got to imagine that Adobe is like, what are you doing giving out a free editing software that rivals what they offer? And of course, they offer so many other things with Adobe Premiere that it's to me, it's worth the monthly fee. But this is amazing for somebody just getting started and just needs access to really amazing high-end editing. So that's pretty much what I wanted to cover today, and I really hope that you got something out of this. We hope our first virtual workshop is a success. And like I said, we've recorded this. We'll make it available down the road for anyone who wants to look at it again. Lots of tutorials, lots of stuff to find online. If you have more questions, and feel free to pick up a phone and give me a call if you have any questions. It's really amazing. And with that, we hope you enjoyed our virtual workshop, our very first ONTV virtual workshop. We're hoping to do more in the future. And if you would like to see virtual workshops on a specific subject, give us a call or send us an email and give us some ideas of what you would like to see. And hopefully we'll all get back together in person and do some in-person classes real soon. But until then, I'm Joe Johnson, studio manager here at ONTV, and hope to see you guys back here at the ONTV studio very soon. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.